And here we go. If you have clicked on this video after seeing the thumbnail, and if you have watched the first 17 seconds of this video, then I am sure that you are really interested to know how I build this super fast PC for me. Hey guys, this is Jonathan and you are watching Tech Area Network. For last couple of months, I was planning to upgrade my old desktop, and finally last week I did it. Actually, I should call it assembling of a new PC because I have changed almost all the major hardware components for my PC. I have changed three main components like processor, motherboard and RAM along with the hard drive and SMPS. I have installed a new graphics card also, which I never used before. Today in this video, you will know how to assemble a PC, how to install a graphics card, and last but not the least, the main secret of this video, that is how my Windows 10 is getting booted within 17 seconds only. By the way, in the description box below, you will get all the product links. You can check these out if you want. Today I have 4 main hardware units with me. Number 1, Intel Core i3 10th generation processor. It has a special feature. It does not have any built-in graphics chipset. It means you must have a dedicated graphics card. I always wanted to have a dedicated graphics card, so I went with this model. And I have Zotac GeForce GT710 graphics card with 2GB DDR3 memory capacity. I'll show it to you later. Number 2, GIGABYTE H410M S2 V3 motherboard. It supports 10th generation Intel Core processors. It means you can use Intel i3 or i5 or i7 or i9 processor. But make sure you are using the 10th generation only. It is having 2 DDR4 RAM slots supporting up to 64GB of system memory. So per slot capacity is 32GB. It is also having PCI Express slot for graphics card. Number 3, 2 Corsair Vengeance DDR4 RAM with 8GB capacity each. So I have total 16 gigs of system memory. The FSB of the RAM is 3000 MHz. This RAM is specially built for heavy duty operations like game, video editing, etc. Number 4, a HP 120GB SSD drive. This is for fast loading of Windows and fast data transfer. I will provide all the links of all the products in the description box. After watching this video till the end, you can check this out there. Now I will assemble the PC with these hardware units. Let's start with the unboxing of GIGABYTE motherboard. Inside the box there is a back panel of motherboard and 2 SATA cables and the motherboard itself. So this is the processor slot where we will attach our Intel processor. These 2 slots are for DDR4 RAM. We will add the RAM here. This port is for plugging the SMPS power cable for powering on the desktop. This is for supplying power to VGA. This port is for PCI Express slot for adding the graphics card. Let me show you the back side of the motherboard. 2 PS2 port for PS2 keyboard and mouse, although I will use USB keyboard and mouse. 1 VGA port which I will not going to use as I will use a dedicated graphics card. 2 USB 3.0 Zen 1 ports, 4 USB 2.0 ports, 1 LAN ports and audio ports as well. Now let's unbox the processor. This is the Intel Core i3 10th generation processor and this is the cooling fan. Now I am going to start the assembling. Pay complete attention now because there are some techniques which I am going to perform here are very important to watch attentively. A little carelessness can damage your processor or motherboard. This is the most crucial operation when you are assembling a PC. I would like to suggest you to watch this part of the video again and again so that you can understand what is going on and how it is going on. Initially it might be hard for you, but believe me, when you will start practicing it, it will be a super easy operation for you to perform. First, place the processor on the processor slot of the motherboard. Here is a lock. You just have to open this clip like the way I am doing. Now take out the processor from the cover, but make sure you don't touch the circuit area or this golden area. This is very important, right?
Now watch the processor very carefully. You will get two cuts here. You can also find the same two cuts in the processor slot of the motherboard. Now you just have to place the processor on the motherboard by matching these two cuts. You don't need to put any pressure to place the processor here. If you need to put some force in doing that, then you have placed the processor wrongly. Always remember that such pressures or forces can damage your processor and you will not get any warranty coverage for that. So be careful. Watch this part of the video again and again before performing this operation. Now close the processor cover and lock it by this lever like the way I am doing it. This will automatically take out this black plastic cover. Now we are ready to attach the cooling fan on the top of the processor. This is the thermal paste which is already there with the cooling fan. If it is not available there, you must put a very little amount of thermal paste on the top of the processor. Make sure you have used this, otherwise your processor can get overheated and stop working. You can purchase it from your local store. Now this is the cooling fan plug which has to be connected with the processor connector available in the motherboard. You can also get 4 holes in your motherboard so that 4 locks or legs of the cooling fan can be attached properly with the motherboard. Now place the cooling fan on the top of the processor in such a way so that this plug can be connected with the motherboard connector easily. Now place the fan by matching the motherboard holes and the fan legs. If you have placed the fan properly on the processor, you can get these locks are visible from the back side of your motherboard. Now gently press the locks like the way I am doing in the diagonal direction. This makes your cooling fan firmly locked with your motherboard. Now plug in the cooling fan connector with the motherboard. This was the most crucial operation when you are assembling a PC. I would like to suggest you to go back and watch this part of the video again and again, so that you can understand what is going on and how it is going on. Now it's time to add the DDR4 RAMs. Let me first unbox it. As I told earlier, this is a 3000 MHz Corsair Vengeance DDR4 8GB RAM with heatsink. Here you will get a small cut in the RAM, and similarly there is a small notch in this motherboard RAM slot. Match the cut and notch and place the RAM on the slot. Before that, open the locks in the motherboard. Then place the RAM on it and gently press both the ends. This will automatically lock the RAM firmly. Watch the technique attentively. By the same manner, I will add the second RAM. So the processor and the RAM have been attached with the motherboard. Now we are going to fix the motherboard in the cabinet. Before attaching the motherboard, I will first fix the SMPS in this cabinet. I have a Frontech 800 watt SMPS. This red colored fan should be towards the downside where the motherboard will be attached, and the Frontech logo should be faced towards you. Now place it like this, and then you have to fix it by 4 screws. I am trying to show you up the screwing operation, although it's very hard for me, so as my camera is fixed on the top. I am fixing first 2 screws and then I will show you the rest 2 screws on cam. These wires of the cabinet are actually responsible for power button, restart button, power LED and hard drive LED. These are the connectors for front USB and front audio ports. I will show you how to connect these wires to the motherboard. Alternatively, you can get the diagram in the motherboard manual itself. Now before setting the motherboard in the cabinet, we need to set the back panel of the motherboard, which we have got in the motherboard box. This is where we set the back panel in the cabinet. Watch my operation carefully. These 2 holes are for PS2 keyboard and mouse. This is for VGA port. These are the USB ports. and this is the onboard LAN port. These three holes are for onboard audio ports. Now we are going to fix the motherboard in the cabinet. Here in step 1 we need to screw up the mounting screws in this area so that the motherboard can be fixed properly. Never place your motherboard in the cabinet without the mounting screws, otherwise it will damage your motherboard. The mounting screws are usually golden in color and you will get these when you purchase a cabinet. Now I will screw up these mounting screws in these holes in the cabinet. So I have fixed the mounting screws and now I will place the motherboard on it and finally fix it up with the cabinet. Here is our motherboard and we have already attached the processor and the RAM earlier in this video. Now just placing it on the mounting screws like this. Then finally fix the board by these screws. So we have fixed the motherboard with the cabinet. Now we will connect these wires for power button, restart button, hard drive LED and power LED. You can find the process or the diagram in the motherboard manual. Now I will connect the front USB and audio ports with the motherboard. This is for the USB and this port is for front audio. So we are done with the front panel, front USB and front audio section connection setup. Now we are going to add the SSD drive. This connector is for SATA cable and this connector is for power cable. Now we will screw up the SSD drive with the cabinet like this. I have got two SATA cables with the motherboard. I will use one of them for my SSD drive. This is the SATA port and this is the power port of my SSD drive. Let's attach the SATA cable first. Another end of the SATA cable should be connected with one of the SATA ports available in the motherboard. Now I will add a graphics card in the motherboard that I have mentioned at the beginning of this video. I have a Zotac GeForce GT 710 graphics card with 2 GB DDR3 memory capacity. This is a cheap but durable graphics card which you can buy for your desktop. You can get all types of display ports available in this graphics card. So whatever your monitor is, you can get all the ports in this graphics card. This slot in the motherboard is for the PCI Express graphics card. So we need to attach our graphics card over here only. Watch the process carefully. Now finally screw up the graphics card with the cabinet like this. Now we will attach the required power cables of the SMPS with the motherboard and the other hardware units. First, this is a 24-pin power socket which has to be connected with this socket of the motherboard. Make sure this lock should be at this direction. This power socket is for the VGA or graphics and this has to be connected with this port of the motherboard. Make sure this lock should be at this direction. Now I need a SATA power cable for the SSD drive and our SSD drive is attached here with the cabinet. I was having an old SATA DVD writer which I will fix with the cabinet and connect with the motherboard as well. Now I will connect the SATA cable and the power cable with this DVD writer. It's very hard for me to show you up this particular operation, but the operation is just like how we did with the SSD drive. So we have completed the assembling job so far. We have set up the processor along with the cooling fan, 2 DDR4 RAMs, SSD drive, then the graphics card, the SMPS and the power cables as well, then the DVD writer, the front audio ports, front USB ports and the power section wires. Now it's time to power on the desktop. So I have attached a HDMI monitor, USB keyboard mouse and a power cable also. Let's turn it on by the power button. If everything goes well, we will get the display on the monitor and automatically enter into the motherboard BIOS. And here we go. From the BIOS page, you will get all the hardware information and the settings. You can see the processor information here, RAM information here, SSD drive and the DVD writer information from here. You can explore many more information from a BIOS of a motherboard. If you are interested, I will make a separate video on how to install Windows 10 in a new desktop. Here I am pausing the video to install the OS and will be right back to show you up the lightning speed of booting process when you are using a SSD hard drive in your desktop. So after installing Windows 10 in my new desktop, I am back and now I am going to turn on my PC in front of you. And I will put a timer here also to note the exact time of loading Windows. And here we go. Wow, this is amazing. The real time of my booting process is only 17 seconds 35 milliseconds. This is the power of a SSD hard drive. Hope you have enjoyed the video. I will recommend you to watch this video again and again before you try this out at your place. Thanks a lot for staying with the video.